We're ZeusWolf here with returning guest Radamiz.
Radamiz.
What's up, man?
Yeah, man.
Fresh off his album release,
Project's
Writeous.
out.
Congratulations, man.
Thanks, man.
April 18th.
April 18th.
Congratulations. How you feeling?
It's good, man. I'm starting to feel more relieved in life. You know?
Like more clarity?
Yeah.
You've
Hell
been
yeah.
working on it for a while, man, right?
Yeah, I was working on that shit for 4 years, and people don't know, like, the executive producer of that, it's one of my best friends, like, since growing up, Francisco Felix, that's his birthday. So, like, released it then, like, he was, like, the dude who was just, like, coaching that shit all the way through with me sometimes, you know, like, calling me at, like, fucking 2 in the morning and talking about mixes and thinking about this beat and, hey, I think you should switch this first, or whatever the case may be. So it was, like, good for him, too, you know, because, like, it came out on his birthday, so he was already, like, celebrating, like, still being fucking alive.
Yeah, definitely.
And, like, you know.
On such a great day, too, nonetheless.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then we released that shit on top of it.
Did
so
you release it because of his birthday that day, or just like, it worked out that way?
I think I was finally at a point where it was ready to go, and choosing it as like his birthday, because my first mixtape that nobody's really heard unless you knew me in high school. I released on my little sister's birthday.
Oh, nice.
So I guess I just do that. I mean, that's like something you do, but it's like sentimental at the same time, you know, because he's been through a lot of it with me as well, you know. So it kind of just made it like, oh, I'm gonna make it your fucking birthday, so I'm for sure dropping it at least by then, and
Just gotta honor the homie.
yeah, you know what I'm saying. Hell yeah, he shot it out a couple times, sometimes clearly and sometimes not.
So, like, yeah, you've been working on it for 4 years. What made you finally ready to drop the project?
It was done.
It was done.
I mean, no.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know if like, there are different points throughout the 4 years you thought you had like a finished version.
For
you kinda
sure, no.
scratched it.
Righteous. There has been a completed track list of Righteous since 2013.
Okay.
And then
What's a
songs.
dumb question, motherfucker?
Yeah, right. It was done. There's been a completed track list the entire time, but it was like, is it really me? You know, is it really something that I want to convey? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it I have to be able to like stand by this at whatever time in my life, whatever point in my life, and be like, yeah, that's exactly who I was at that time. That is what I was interested in. That's what I wanted to talk about. That's what I was going through. Those are my opinions, you know. And I had to like develop a sense of like somewhat of like what the music industry requires from an artist, especially like on an independent level. You know, there's a lot of keys in this.
Sure.
In this game that a lot of people don't know, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of shit that a lot of people don't know, and I had to wisen up in that sense. And then I kind of also had to just be ready for success at the same time. And I think that's like, I feel like one of the toughest ones, coming from like where we come from. It's like you're so used to everything like kind of like crashing down. You're not really used to like, so you have to really prepare yourself to know yourself, you know, because the last thing I want to be is somebody who's like famous and still doesn't know themselves.
Sure.
Because then yourself is dictated by a lot of other people's perspectives of you, but when you know yourself, like, you know, you just feel so much more comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah, you said there was some like music industry, I guess like hoops you were kind of saying that you need to jump through. Do you think like putting out singles like Sumner and Ali's My Big Brother, do you think that was?
Oh, you learn? Hell yeah, man! You learn that shit.
Did you not want to do that originally? Did you just want to drop?
No,
the
I was
project?
doing it for 4 years. Learning the.
Okay.
Oh, this is the best way to shoot an email. Oh, this is effective. Oh, you should put into this ad campaign. Oh, you should build a relationship with this blogger instead of just sending them a fucking email. You should try to talk to them in person and build it up. And oh, maybe your Premiere does work sometimes. Oh, Premieres don't. Oh, you need to time this. I just started really learning through the years. I never released a song to learn something. But it always came at a point where I learned something new, if that makes any sense.
No, I feel you.
You know what I mean?
Is that how you developed a relationship with Team Backpack? Just like throughout this whole process?
Team Backpack, I built a relationship with them because I was a writer. I Respect Mag, and when I was writing for them, and I was blogging for them. I was blogging for Respect. I just had my own leisure. But the thing is, I would just write about whoever the fuck I wanted to write about. I wasn't like assigned stories or anything. So, and I just started writing about Team Backpack shit, not knowing like. I mean, they just hit 1 million views, and that shit is ill because like my face is the banner right now.
That's
so
awesome.
Like, so yeah, so it's like dumb lit.
Sup,
but right, it's just like what up, motherfuckers?
Want to cover, motherfucker?
But they just hit 1 million, but not knowing at the time they probably had like 600, 700,000 likes or whatever, probably a little less. But they weren't getting blog coverage, and that goes to show the disparity, like the difference between like writers and like fans. You know what I'm saying? But
definitely.
Yeah, I guess we just started a relationship through them. They just saw I started blogging about their ciphers, and we started talking. And then he heard about the music, and then around that time, my boy King Critical's video was getting viral, so he showed love, and we just started, I don't know, networking, you know, because they recently moved out to New York. So I was just pitching them a bunch of artists that they should fuck with, you know.
Do you think working with them, building that relationship, helped you build relationships with other media outlets? I saw Mass Appeal did a write-up on Writeous as well, which is obviously, you know, huge place to have in your huge entity to have in your corner.
Yeah, we got Ear Milk so far, USA Today, Mass Appeal, all that shit. But I mean, see, the thing about that is I was just talking to my friend last night. It isn't about the platforms, it's about the people who are fucking with you.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Team Backpack doesn't support me. It's like, no, there are 2 specific people, 3, 4 specific people at Team Backpack that I've met and gotten to know throughout the years. And it isn't Mass Appeal who fucks with me. It's like G, the Gyasi, the writer, who took it upon herself I didn't even pitch the story to her, you know what I'm saying? It was just, we were just kind of like always knew of each other, I guess, here and there, like on the internet, you know, following each other on Twitter and meeting each other in person and introducing ourselves, not even knowing we like know each other on social media.
Well,
which again,
it speaks to like what you were saying before last time we met about how you have such a deep fan base who really fuck with you, and you obviously touch upon it on Righteous itself on One Night Stand. I feel like you made that song for your true fans, people who really been fucking you since day one, to people who really believe in you, and I feel like you kind of reward them with just putting out dope music. And so that's pretty cool. I think just, you know, you're giving back to your core audience who really wants to see you go forward and make big moves in this.
Right. Yeah, the One Night Stand was like a deep breath. Like finally, it's like a long day at work, and then you finally just like you're waiting to like get on that couch, like take off your fucking jeans and like look at my t-shirt and just sit in this couch really quick. That's what that song is to me. As far as like the emotional roller coaster that Righteous is, it's like let me just be honest. You know what I'm saying? In whatever capacity, let me just be honest. And that's one of the things. And then sometimes, you know, it's not only just who you expect to fuck with you doesn't. It's like a lot of the times it's who you don't think is like aware of where you are in your career. You don't even think that they're aware of what you're doing and are being affected by it, or the ones who show love. You know. That's
really cool. It's I mean, it's interesting. Also, what you were saying before about the identity thing and finding yourself along the path to releasing this. I was curious. I mean, clearly this part of the project is finding yourself. Did you kind of lose your identity a little bit while trying to find it at the same time?
Yeah, hell yeah. I think like the thing that sticks out to me about like people's reception, because it's an album. It's not a song that you listen to and you're waiting for a project. It's like whoever's gonna fuck with it is gonna fuck with it. Whoever's not gonna fuck with it is not gonna fuck with it. But there's gonna be the people who are in between. Who are like, let me check it out in 3 months. Or, you know, somebody probably knows who the fuck I am, is a fan, and still doesn't have the capacity to listen to it, or whatever the case. And then they eventually do, and it eventually grows on them, or whatever the case may be. And I think through me creating it, I was going through that as well. You know, there'll be periods in my life where, like, I'm frustrated with a lot of other things, or I think I have to plan too much, or, you know, I'm looking for structure in my life to be able to present that into the music. And after a while, I was like, no, you can just present yourself as you are through the music as well. And a lot of shit isn't recorded. A lot of shit sounds dysfunctional. It doesn't really make sense of the story. But yeah, there was a lot of the times I would just be like, yo, what the fuck am I listening to? And it's my own music, you know what I mean?
It's such a trippy process, kind of like finding yourself while you're putting together this project about.
I didn't know what the music. Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know what music. I didn't know what the music sounded like anymore. You know what I'm saying? Thank God, like as I got closer to ending it, I was like, damn, I'm really only listening to like myself, Anderson .Paak, fucking Never Catch Me by Kendrick, and Flying Lotus, and like I was listening to, but I was really listening to myself. Yeah. You know, I was really like, nah, I want to listen to Righteous right now. You know what I mean? And that was like the shit. You know what I'm saying? Because I have to like my own music. Like, I'm putting it out if I don't fucking like my own shit. You know?
Did your mixtape that you released in high school have that effect on you? Of you wanting to listen to it all the time?
I think at that time it was more so being proud of finishing something that sounded cool. Because I didn't really have any capacity for the industry. I still thought I'm gonna share this with one of my friends, and my record label was gonna offer me $3 million, and now they're like, you know what I'm saying? But at that point, and it's funny because that same innocent happiness is what I felt when Righteous dropped as well. It was like finally I made something.
Sure.
So with that comparison to the process of you making Righteous versus the process of you
my
making
own first mixtape,
do you think you are now jaded? in some way.
Jaded in what sense?
Jaded by the music industry. It sounds like you approach this mixtape a little bit differently, and I mean, you're saying you learned some things. Do you think the music industry is? I mean, that's like a big rapper cliche, like I'm jaded now, but like
right.
In a sense, it's real. Like the music industry will affect you. So
there are people who you think there are people who you think are on board, and just completely, just like vanish, or you know, there's a lot of things that offer themselves, and I think that's the tough part sometimes, is like keeping your head up through all of that. I learned early on, even if the opportunity presents itself and doesn't happen, it shows that you're worthy of that type of opportunity. You know what I mean? So, like, no matter what, like, an investor can come and be like, all right, we're ready to give you guys $10 million to build your website, or whatever the case. And if it doesn't happen, it's like, wait, we're worthy of that. Even just because it got presented to you. So I started figuring that out. But, you know, it's funny, like, the music industry doesn't exist. You know, the music industry is a culmination of a lot of other things. There are people who are into websites and blogs. There are people who are into radio. There are people who are into media. There are people who are into advertisement. There are people into sharing music. And all of that is the industry. But the industry isn't a person. And I started realizing, okay, bet, I can't look at myself too much through other people's eyes, because I'm the one that they're looking at. Mm-hmm. So I have to be my best self, and whoever's going to see me for what I am is who you're going to attract to. You know, there's dickheads in every industry. There's a dickhead if you work at McDonald's, you know what I'm saying? Sure. So why wouldn't there be a dickhead in music? But there are also real people. There are also people who gravitate and who understand your vision, and you know, because music is a feeling, you know. Your lyrics are a feeling. Like, you're expressing a certain perspective, a certain type of thought, and I think you attract that.
You're penning your soul.
Yeah,
that's
man.
What you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
That's what Writeous was.
I felt naked. It was awkward, bro. I was going through like I went through like anxiety, kind of like the first the day after Writeous dropped. I was like terrible.
Really?
Hell yeah.
Just because you felt just like naked to the public, it was like
because I had
yourself.
never released something that was it. I was always releasing something, but like I'm still working on this.
Yeah.
So, and I remember just going to work the next day. Oh my God, I was like depressed, man. I was like literally like psycho. And like a lot of things like went wrong in the release of Writeous as well. That don't have to really be mentioned, but you know, just the whole rollout of everything. And then I go back to work, and it's like, nah, man, I wanted people to like, I don't know, man, it was crazy.
Well, I mean, it's definitely getting a lot of love. I mean, we talked about some of the write-ups that have been done so far from great outlets like Ear Milk and Mass Appeal, Team Backpack, and it's getting a lot of love on SoundCloud too. I mean, I know like a bunch of your songs are getting 5-digit plays, which is awesome, and awesome for you. It just speaks to how people are receiving this, and it goes back to the point of
hasn't even been out 2 weeks yet.
Exactly, it hasn't been out 2 weeks, and you have 4 songs in 5 digits. I think. I think your highest was at 62,000. So that's just awesome in and of itself.
I think Sumner's higher than that.
Yeah, Sumner just passed Ali's my big brother. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, so that that in and of itself just must feel so validating, because you know people are really fucking with your music.
Right.
And I know I was like reading all the comments and stuff on social media, and people are just like showing mad love, and not just because they have to, but I think because they generally fuck with it. I mean, that's the same thing with us. I mean, if we didn't like it, we wouldn't want to do the interview right now.
Right.
So I think that you kind of have to keep near and dear to your heart that people are generally fucking with it because of the music.
No, people don't understand. Like sometimes, like you don't think it, but I don't even know if my fans know, but sometimes they'll hit me. Sometimes it's overbearing, don't get me wrong, because if it's like 20, 25 messages, like, you can't read that. It doesn't matter, like, it's 25. But sometimes, like, I'll have somebody just give me a call or just send a message or whatever. And I might not even respond, but it came at the right moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, they help me stay clear, because it's not about who isn't paying attention. It's about who is and how they're being affected. That's how you know something is true, you know, because it isn't about reaching every person. It's about reaching every person so the right people listen to you. The people who you're supposed to affect are affected, you know. And I have people telling me like, yo, like I cried listening to this song, or you taught me to have patience with myself, or you're an artist that we have to protect in New York. Like, we tell you can really, and those aren't things that are lighthearted. I'm reading reviews, and they're not saying, oh, it's just some big ass rap shit, you gotta listen to this new. They're like Mass Appeal's first line is, if you're gonna click Radamiz's project and think you're just hearing a New York artist album, like, you missed the entire point. Like, that's heartwarming, you know what I mean? Sure. Because you don't know, I'm listening to it as a work of 4 years, and someone else is listening to it as, let me just press play and see what the fuck it is, you know.
And there's so much more than like.
I hear every edit, yeah.
Well, exactly.
Now I'm getting to a point where I can actually listen to my own.
You're so involved, obviously, in the process. You made it, and like guys like us, we're just. April 18th came out, I pressed play on it, and I digested it. But, you know, for you, it's been a huge process leading up to this, leading up to the drop. So many things happen along the way. Yeah. And about the point of you saying relatability, people are finding relatable material in it. I mean, I think that's extremely true, because everyone's trying to do something with their life. I mean, no matter what discipline it's in, they're trying to achieve something greater than themselves. This project definitely speaks to that, and it also speaks to people you need to rely on. Like on Ali's My Big Brother, you cite Ali and Tupac as people who you can kind of fall back on, just like what their message was. That can kind of like power you through. I think people definitely will fuck with that because, like I said, it's relatable, and that's something powerful. So that just must feel good too. Just know you can impart that power on people.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, that's the power that we all share, you know. So the more open we are, I think, the realer you are with your message, and the realer you speak to someone else's power. You know what I'm saying? Like the realer you are with yourself, the more you can affect someone else's realness as well.
Definitely.
Know?
Was it kind of weird for you? Obviously, I think people make music with the fans' ears in mind, and not necessarily what their soul wants to bear. Was that like a weird process for you, kind of walking that line? And
I didn't do that.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean,
it was all you. It was
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. But was did you at all like kind of like tippy-toe across that line of like trying to envision the fans' ears in mind?
Nah, I'm not even gonna lie to you.
That's
I didn't
good.
care.
Good.
I had people tell me this isn't what I expected, and I'm like, whatever that means, like, good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because for me, I treated Writeous as like, I can look back at this, like, it's what Radamiz was at 23. At least, well, it was technically what Radamiz was from 19 to 23. Like, that's at least a marker. So as long as I, like, fulfill whatever it is that I'm supposed to do, you know, I believe that it'll exist in that sense, you know, the same way how you look back at, like, your favorite artists, like, first projects that you ever heard, or first projects that started getting them local buzz, or whatever the case may be. Like, everybody knows Kendrick Lamar for Section 80, but how much people know about him when he made the name change, and it was just the Kendrick Lamar AP, you know. That's when I heard Kendrick, and it was the same thing. I'm not comparing myself to, like, where he was in his career, but there's so much people who you can name, and you can cite their first projects, and I don't know. I think I'm happy that I finally have that. I think that that's one of the most relieving things, because if I started making music, I wouldn't be true to my own vision. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be true to my own shit. I listen to fucking everybody. You know what I'm saying? I can listen to Jay Electronica and then play a 21 Savage song. Like, I don't care, you know. But I had to make something that sounded like me.
Definitely.
No matter what, you know.
I feel like having the project out also just facilitates making music in the future, because like you kind of you had your mixtape in high school, it happened, but I think this is your biggest release, obviously.
Right, for sure.
So just having that behind you now, you can just like move forward, and it's obviously
I made
a great
that.
foundation.
Yeah, so I can make whatever, and then but he also made this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, you can go where you want.
Your first move doesn't dictate your next move.
No.
It's just a move, and because you did it, that's why it's you. You know what I'm saying?
Just
So
lays a base.
Yo.
Yeah,
That's all it does.
and now you have this big release, like basically a release of 4 years in the making. Now it has to be a release. Like, do you feel like you can almost just make music freely now? Like, because before it was like all going towards this one pent up project. Do you feel like you can just kind of make whatever it is that you want to make at this point?
Yeah, I think so. I think it works. It's like a double-edged sword, because on one aspect, I have to outdo. I can't go back and make something whacker than Righteous.
Not even necessarily do it,
what
but
I'm
just
saying?
progress.
But exactly. But in another sense, I get to just make music to make music that doesn't have to necessarily tie into this theme that I was trying to capture within Righteous. You know, and I think that's it's freedom. It's freedom in that, because I was trapped by it. Like, I would stop myself from writing certain type of songs because it was too expensive to even execute the idea if it wasn't towards the album. You know what I'm saying? Well, now.
All right.
We're a second guest.
Just joined by History. Happy to have you on set, man. Producer,
AKA H Illa.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Producer of Power. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm chilling, bro.
Yeah, I'm good. We're great, man. We're drinking some Andre. Celebrating the release of Writeous. Nothing's bad right now. So I want to talk about
Nothing is bad.
Nothing's bad at all, man. All good vibes here. All good energy. So I want to talk about the song Power. Let's talk about how it was working together on that. Let's talk about that first.
Well, with Power, like the first section of the beat, I made that like about 3 years ago. I say 3 years.
Yeah, it's
ago.
2012.
2012, like
Damn.
3 years ago, right before I went to the Bahamas. Like, I stayed up all night, like, for my trip on the Bahamas, because I hate planes, so I just stayed up all night so I could just fall asleep on the plane. So I just made the beat, and then I sent it to him. I think when I got back from the Bahamas, I sent it to him, and then he just loved it so much. He was like, "Yo, I'm using this," and I was like, "All right, cool." So fast forward, he makes the song, shoots a video. We don't even release the video. Just a whole bunch of stuff happens. I finally track out the beat. I give him the track outs. We mix the beat. We think everything is complete.
At this point, we have this is 6th, 7th versions of Power.
Damn.
Like the first half. Yeah.
Is that frustrating for you as a producer?
Nah, not really.
All part of the process?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I love
He's
the
got put up with this
mixing
shit,
process.
right?
Yeah. I love the
Producers
mixing process.
hate me, yo. Nah, they do.
That's awesome, though. And then, so, have you guys worked together before? Or was this the first track you guys did together?
We got like a bunch of tracks that we did before, but a few of them we did for Writeous that's unreleased, and just songs that was on my projects and stuff. So.
Yeah, I've known him since he was in 9th grade and I was in 10th grade in high school.
Yeah.
And
Also just 4 years of recording music. You probably got to fuck.
Yeah, he was one of the first guests in the studio where I started working on Writeous, which was the first time I ever really started working out of there in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So he's been around since
it's day one,
the
homie.
drum. Yeah, the first song that I don't think will ever be heard, but the first song in the process to make Writeous is a song called Same Old Same Old, and I remember he was in the session when we recorded that.
Would you ever release another kind of edition?
Everybody asked me that shit, like an unrighteous
it's a Lex edition
of just records that nobody's heard or
Ty Dolla $ign did that with the most recent album.
Yeah, I just don't think I'm that ill yet. You know what I'm saying? I feel like when I'm imagine Jay just drops the unreleased songs from Reasonable Doubt sessions. It doesn't even matter if it's whack.
Kendrick could do it.
Yeah, you just don't even want to. Yeah, exactly. You don't even want to hear. You would want to hear it. You don't care if it's trash. You'd be like, oh, that's what you did.
This is the other part of Reasonable Doubt.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So definitely, I have same old, famous with a question mark, a bunch of shit that Good Mondays with Adrian Daniel. There's mad shit that's been made over the time that nobody's ever heard.
Got you. And with Power and the stylization of the actual title, it's all lowercase besides the R. I assume that was intentional.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, it's Power with a fucking capital R, you know.
I like that. R for Radamiz.
I mean, then it's cheesy when you say it, but when you read it, you know what I'm saying?
I was actually looking on the Spotify track list and they fucked up the stylization.
Yeah, I'm so pissed. They fucked that up and they fucked up One Crown because One Crown's supposed to be all caps, but they put one and then Crown just a capital C. Yeah, but I was like, nah, the real people are gonna know. They're gonna see the artwork and they're gonna see on the sites or whatever, and that'll be it. But
I feel like it's mostly being consumed through SoundCloud.
I think I'm just not big enough to call up Spotify hey, this is how my fucking spelling is, bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Fuck up my stylizations.
Yeah,
so like a Kanye West moment.
Yeah, you know,
fucking know what
Kanye with some of my plaques still say Kane. That's why I don't even trip. I'm like, yo, my shit.
Yeah, you can make a song in the future when they fucked up the stylization of Power in One Crowd.
I have some questions on the lyrics of Power. For one, you can't take my power. You ain't never felt the wrath of me. I'm curious, does that come from a specific instance? Was that inspired by something specific, or was that just something you were feeling?
Yeah, I think the first. All right, so part of his story was the second half of Power, where you hear Rick Rubin on Rubin's dorm floors. That was part of a third verse that doesn't exist. Too. Yeah, this is Rubin Hall is the freshman dorms where I stayed at.
I was gonna assume.
Yeah.
Oh, so that hall is named after him at this point.
No. But he lived in Weinstein as his freshman dorm, but Rubin, so it was because Rick Rubin is the speech that comes right before. They talked about how powerful music is. So it's Rick Rubin on Rubin's dorm floors. Because I used to literally sleep on dorm floors for 4 years.
Oh, Rubin's dorm floors. Okay, because I
Rubin,
knew you went to NYU.
Rubin,
I was thinking I thought that was a reference
Rubin
to
Hall
Rick
is a freshman.
Rubin.
Yeah, I did.
It is in a way,
sort of.
Yeah,
it's implicitly.
Rubin is an NYU.
They're some word association.
You're so clever, bro.
So my back still hurt from sleeping on those carpets. I literally slept all through NYU, and I was working on Writeous the entire time. But long story short, the second half of the song was made this year. He just sent it to me. He just sent me a beat, and it was it wasn't all the way built up to where it was now, but it was basically that same feeling, and it was a rough version of the way he recorded his verse. And I was like, damn, I was gonna throw it on Writeous, just an interlude. He's like, nah, man, you should rap on that shit. And I was like, I bet. So, the important part of that is that when you say can you take my power, the rap for me, you have to understand this is Radamiz at 2012, 2013. Going through whatever emotions it is that the music industry is taking me or what I'm learning, and I'm really immature about it. You know, I'm really immature. I'm really everybody has to be paying attention to me. You have to be looking at me. Fuck you, personally. You know, whoever's not paying attention to me, I feel it's like a kid who has to make the most noise to be heard. Mm-hmm. You know, and as opposed to the 2016 Radamiz, who comes at that's the fourth verse of the song, which is my third verse. I'm talking about forgiveness is the biggest power, actually. You know, and the project times itself in that way as well. Like, even the first track, God Talks to Me a Lot, the first verse is a 2013 verse, and the second verse is a 2016 verse. So, and the 2016 verse is talking to the mindset that the 2013 verse Radamiz had. So, literally on
That's
that song,
crazy.
there's 3-year disparity between, like, my voices. Yeah. Like, my voice, literally, there's a 20-year-old Radamiz and 23-year-old Radamiz.
Can you tell a difference in your voice?
I can.
The actual
but
sound.
people
of your
really
voice.
I couldn't. Yeah, is that
Yeah.
trippy for you? Because I feel like you're gonna look back on this. You're gonna have a tangible copy of where you were between 2012 and 2016. So you're gonna be able to look back on that, which is an awesome like, keepsake to have. But now you're also looking back on your 2012 self within your current project.
Right.
Is that must be just a trippy ass experience?
Yeah,
for you.
that's why it was so stressful to fucking make, you know, because the whole time it's like more
change
time
so
is
much,
passing.
like-
Yeah, you change a lot, and that's I think that's like the hidden power of Righteous, like within itself. Even if you don't know all the intricacies, all the name references, all the like, am I black 2 times itself? Because I say I just lost my job today. I literally got fired that Monday from Ralph Lauren in 2014, and I had a studio session where I laid down those 2 verses. Like literally, the tracks all time themselves in a specific way, but. For me, I feel like it at least holds that energy of like, this is someone just going through it because I'm talking about going through it. You know what I'm saying? So
it also, I mean,
it makes sense that it took so long, because if it just took 2 months to make, then it's like, how much growth?
It's not true of the
have?
project. Then, because the whole point of the project is just you maturing, growing. It's your whole journey. That's with the travel rap.
And that's the idea of Righteous. Like, to me, a righteous person isn't someone who holds up these like biblical fucking hierarchies of how you're supposed to live, or these rule books. It's really like your own truth. You know, and it's sometimes really hard to throw away all the shadow, to like really look in the mirror and see who you are. You're like, you're deeper than your name. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm more than Radamiz, like the way you see it written, because as soon as you see it written, you have a story, you have a song, you have this intention, you remember, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm more than that. So when you're talking about being righteous and growing, it's really like my process of knowing what my truth is, as opposed to like what my truth is supposed to be in someone else's eyes.
So yeah, clearly you're discovering a lot about yourself along this process. Were there times when you were putting this together over the 4-year period where you just had self-doubt, and like, fuck, I don't want to do this, I don't want to put it out?
Yeah, and that's where songs like Maintaining come from.
Yeah.
That's where songs, like the song's literally like, I'm just trying to stay afloat, and I'm just trying to literally maintain, like, coast through all of this. That's where songs like Patience come from, where patience, it's like there's like there's 2 ends of this, there's 2 sides of the same coin.
Sure.
Because maintaining is like, it's like bouncing. I gotta flow hard. I gotta like speed up my flow. I gotta let you know this is our worth. This is it. Like I know what it is, and because of this, I'm maintaining. And then Patience sounds like I got a girl with some big titties out while I'm rapping my shit. You know, because it's the same feeling. It's the same place in my life. We just wake up feeling, you know, some days it's like, yo, I know I'm at a bullshit job, and I know, but I'm good, you know. And that maintaining in a way has a negative dichotomy, like in the name, because it's supposed to be like you're trying to stay afloat.
Like
it's like you're trying to survive, but patience, it's like, nah, like I know I'm good because my shit will come no matter what. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I feel like it's definitely kind of a theme on the project, just patience, just kind of riding the wave, because you know it's gonna, obviously you have to put the work in order for it to happen, in order to manifest the dream. But that's another relatable point on the album for people, is just you need to be patient throughout this process, and that's a huge part of it.
Also, with Maintaining, you brought that up.
Yeah.
I really like the bridge that you had in the
Thanks.
outro of the song. I'm curious, was that kind of significant? That bridge itself, do you think it was significant to the meaning of the song?
What do you mean?
Talking about the ending?
Yeah, the bridge at the end, because it sounded like there was like some screaming.
Basically, I knew it at first, like for the first 3-4 versions of the song, the hook came back in, and I was like, that doesn't feel like Maintaining. That doesn't feel like, and for me, I always knew Maintaining was gonna go into One Night Stand. So for me, that was just like critical, the way he just flowed, built it, and then it just like stops, and you just hear the echo of his last voice, and right before you think like it gets to the lowest point, you just hit. It just comes back, and it's just like settling in it. And I think that to me, that represents finally when you let it all off your chest. You know when you've been arguing, and then you finally know what your point is, and you just like zone in on that point and scream for like 5 minutes or whatever. And as soon as you're done, you just sit back, and there's like that quiet in the room, but you feel relieved that you finally said exactly what you wanted to say. Leads into One Night Stand, you know.
Like,
that's why that was important.
When we was in the studio and he actually did it, like I compared it to like Maintaining to me is like a whole movie. Like just like each song is a different movie to me, but Maintaining is like the action movie of the project. So it's like.
Well, Power kind of is that too, though.
Yeah, Power is a whole
That
nother
shit is
action
stupid.
movie, but Maintaining is like one of those like Tarzan, like Will Smith action movies. Where it's like it's a whole bunch of action, but it's like
Will Smith.
It's like
history
it's
here.
like
Tarzan
real,
and Will Smith.
Exactly, it's like real deep. But when it gets to that part, it's like the victory lap, like you know, at the end of the movie, after all the action, and then everything goes quiet, and then you see the flashing light, then it comes back to the scene, and then everybody's just clapping, or you see the man who was in the movie running through the woods, like
The world acknowledged.
like,
Smoke behind him, just
It was funny doing. It
running
was
to
funny. It was
victory.
funny being in that session because I remember I was like, no, not yet. So could you imagine like the echo and it's like the beat, like the engineer's like right here, and I'm like, I tell everybody shut the fuck up and close their eyes, and I'm like, no, not yet, push it back. So it took like 10 minutes to just get to where the beat comes back in at the right moment. Like,
So I love that we can do this just because like the average listener, including us, we're not gonna be able to appreciate that or know that process behind it. So you have
we were that shit.
imagining.
I'm not gonna
right
exaggerate.
now.
It probably took at like 17 minutes because I remember we were rushing the session and I just knew we were at we were like there, like the hard drives are ready, we were there like you gotta get the fuck out of here, but I was like no, not yet, push it a little bit more because you're judging it with silence, but you're judging it with finally when you think the song is over, you just need that reaffirmation that that's what you went through. And I had to like I was like fuck everybody, we gotta do this before we leave, you know.
I was listening to obviously Prince just passed, and CNN, I guess Larry King interviewed him in 1999.
I didn't know how alike I was to Prince until I saw that interview.
Oh, you saw they put out the full interview? Well, yeah, in that interview, he was talking about how silence is a sound,
right?
And I'm like the exact same thing you're just saying. I thought that was really interesting.
That's really interesting, yeah.
I thought one of the most powerful things, one of the two most powerful things that I got from that interview that related to me first and foremost. I mean, my project starts with God Talks to Me a lot, you know, and Writeous outro. You hear like it's very spiritual in that sense. I don't necessarily commit to a specific religion. I'm not going to talk too much about that, but so it's very centered in that belief, and through me, I started realizing like, I gotta talk to God, and God is funny. Like my God is funny. My God is powerful. My God peeps game. My God knows I'm fucked up. He knows when I'm being a bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like all of this. And I really realized like I didn't know Prince thought the same way. That he was like, he was like, without God, none of this would make sense. Without God, but you don't really get that as much through like the big hits of Prince's career. But when you really start paying attention, it's like, damn, you're really just channeling like the higher power to like fuel you. You know, and you can call it God, you can call it energy, you can call it the universe, you can call it karma. It doesn't matter.
Just a higher power.
You're saying the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and the other one was when they were trying to call him weird, and he was really not accepting it because he was just like, compared to whom? And I think that's so true. It's like you try to like judge people and cast them aside or whatever, but it's like as soon as you're doing that, you're judging them as opposed to this other perception of what they're supposed to be. And it's like I feel like he really taught us how to like really just be.
That's why he was so cool though, because he just didn't give a fuck about public perception.
He would take your girl in girl clothes and then take her clothes and take another girl. You know what I'm saying?
It's so
like,
true. It's so
give
true.
a fuck about that shit.
Yeah, he was the man. But stay on the topic of God, though, is clearly that's a big theme of the album. So since when you complete the project 4 years later, it's finally done. Do you kind of feel that the image of this higher power was more clarified almost? Like, do you feel like you're able to see God more clear since you actually completed the album?
Yeah, I think that the first track establishes that. At first, it was called Role Model 1. I have a song called Role Model 2 out that has a video and everything.
We'll wait for the deluxe version later down the line.
No, it's out. That one's out 2 years ago. We dropped it. But the first one was called Role Model 1 until I switched the verse. And then the hook wasn't a proper hook before it became this culmination of just like a vibe, you know what I'm saying?
I still got that version.
Keep it on the low, stashing it away.
And I remember
unreleased shit you don't even know about.
unreleased versions of shit. Yeah, and the second verse is like different verse, all that shit. But I remember like that it talks about it in that sense, you know, when it's like, you know, because God talks to me, it's like life talks to me a lot, moments talk to me a lot. Yeah, you get affected. Sometimes you get affected and you don't even know you're about to get affected, and you're at Subway and someone says a comment and you're like, oh shit, why did I need to hear, like who knew I would hear this at Subways or whatever. And I've had a lot of moments like that, You know what I'm saying? I've had a lot of moments like that. I've had a lot of moments of like people, like God literally showing up to me as like homeless men and like crackheads or just random comments and shit like that. And then you get that stare, and then you just know exactly who the fuck is talking to you. The same way how you have a best friend, and as soon as they look at you, you know their entire thought.
That wavelength.
Exact same fucking thing, you know. And I was like, okay, bet, because it isn't really like higher power in the sense that I'm higher power. It's really like we are power. We are like all this energy, you know what I'm saying? And it's my job to like help you see that, because sometimes I needed someone to help me see that.
Well, I mean, that ties perfectly into the whole concept of one crown, because you're saying like you're out here to do the best, but you came up with these people around you and you want to share the crown with everyone.
Right.
You want to be able to distribute the wealth essentially, and that's part of being righteous.
Yeah, there's a whole interview is needed for like one crown specifically.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, also, so you guys did a cipher back, was it 2012 or something?
Best of Brooklyn, yeah.
Yeah, was that 2012? Yeah, so
2011, 2012, and 2014. We have three.
You have three.
But the 2012 one is the one that like blew up like more.
Yeah, that was like almost like 1 million hits on YouTube. But so I feel that kind of like, I feel like one crown is almost like the kind of the other side to all those ciphers, because all those ciphers are you and these Brooklyn rappers kind of coming up together, like just laying down your lines. And one crown is you all sharing the crown.
Well, they are homies.
Yeah.
The difference between the Best of Brooklyn ciphers and One Crown is that the Best of Brooklyn ciphers didn't really need to incorporate. I feel like the energy is so pure in it because it's people we just went to high school with and just knew for years and just hung out with, and there's no forced relationship that happened. But One Crown is like, who the fuck else is making this song right now? Who the fuck else is like, you know all of these people. Like stop acting like you don't see someone else trying their best. Stop ignoring someone else's successes. Like that doesn't you don't cement that with a tweet. The future's not gonna see that tweet. The future's not gonna see that text message. The future's not gonna see that half-ass compliment. Like cement it how it feels right. And that was my way of like, yo, everybody stop being a bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody stop being a bitch. Everybody knows that this person is nasty. This person is nasty. This person can kill it. When they're on the stage, they kill it. When she's on the stage, she kills it. Let's all just come together as a snapshot of like what's going on in New York right now.
Have you always had that mentality?
Hell yeah, man. Because people, it's when you're not confident in yourself, you think that you can't give to someone. That's the person who thinks that they lack are the ones who think that by giving they're losing. You know what I'm saying? But that's not the way it is. I know I'm the shit. You know what I'm saying? I know Righteous is going to be the shit 20 years from now, because I'm going to be Radamiz at 43. So if I'm making Righteous at 23, what's going to happen 20 years from now? You know what I'm saying? Because definitely when I was 3 years old, I did not have Righteous in mind. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so I'm going to make it worth it. You know, I don't give a fuck about what people think 10 days after it's released. Like, nah, I'm going to make sure my career goes to a certain level that you appreciate that Righteous came out, and that's what I decided to talk about. I don't care if in 10 years that shit is whack, but you're going to think, like, I know, I stood behind that. You know what I'm saying? I stood behind that. I stood behind those ideologies. I stood behind every feature that's on it, every producer that's on it, like every reference that's on it. Like that shit is real.
Well, clearly, you know what I mean? Integrity.
Yeah, man. I'm not here to be like follow somebody's wave and follow who someone is interested in and parallel myself accordingly to that. Like, because you got to upkeep that lie.
Well,
you know
so when you were about to drop it, though, were you trying to kind of compare it to other artists' drops? We were kind of talking about this a little bit before. Were you kind of compare it to other artists' drops in in their chronological album release?
Word. I mean, I think when I was more insecure, I would.
Okay.
You know, because I would, but that's because are we close?
No, we can keep going. Just
okay.
After this.
All right. I think when you're insecure, you compare yourself to people. So I would compare myself to people to make me feel good, and I'll compare myself to people to make me feel bad. I would be like, oh damn, Nas dropped Illmatic at 20. What the fuck am I doing in my life? But Kanye dropped College Dropout at 27, so I'm okay. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Damn, like Chance the Rapper's a couple months younger than me. But Nicki Minaj blew when she was around like 28, 29, so I'm good. You know, you go crazy. But if you keep, you
just go crazy.
You go crazy.
I totally relate to
that. You go crazy. Yeah. So I think for me, it was just like I did that for a while and realized I was killing myself, and then I started realizing, okay, bet it's just about what my journey represents. Because in that same vein, if you just look at it as their age and their accomplishment, you're ignoring the fact that everyone just did it how they were supposed to do it for their career.
Talking about comparisons and how it can just really hinder your development because you look at people's careers relative to your own self in that current time and you say, oh, I should be here because they were there at that point in their career. But then you say, you look at Kanye, he dropped College Dropout at 27, and that gives you confidence because you're like, oh, he's 4 years old and that's when he dropped his first major, and that's when he really started gaining recognition besides his prior production work. But then it messes with your psyche, and really escaping that is when you truly find, I think, inner peace, because you can really, you become your own benchmark, and that's, I think, the most important thing. You're learning that. I talk to my dad about this all the time. Just like, you can't compare yourself because you have no idea who other people are going through and how they got to where they're going, and you're going to get there as long as you put the work in. And I'm sure that was just a really refreshing, like, at peace feeling for you when you finally discovered that you don't need to make comparisons anymore because Radamiz is Radamiz. Radamiz is no other artist. And I mean that just must be, I don't know, just must be so.
It's a place of clarity.
Yeah, exactly.
It is, man. It's like, yo, as an artist, people just, you know what it is? It's that people don't take artistic depression seriously. I mean, we're enjoying our times, but just like real quick, like people don't know, like that shit really fucks with your mind. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like even like being that aware sometimes of like, or that like in tune with your emotions and in tune with them enough to express them through another medium, all that shit is like real. So like if I can kick an ill ass verse about being the shit, best believe I've written some bars about feeling like complete bullshit at the same time, because you gotta have that, you know what I'm saying?
That's just normal emotion.
And after a while, and don't get me wrong, some great, and that's the thing about music. It's just it's unapologetically truthful, you know what I'm saying?
It's a great way to
have
phrase
to,
it.
because music is like, if I make a beautiful song about depression and killing myself, you're gonna be like, damn, how beautiful is this song? And Radamiz is literally talking about suicide the entire time. You know, that's the thing about Writeous. Like the Writeous rollout was so weird. You know, it wasn't like the week prior to Writeous it was me talking to an artist that a lot of people know in New York, talking this person out of like suicidal thoughts. It was like me talking to my father and all of us crying in the car, like, yo, what the fuck? Like I'm standing for something else. I'm not here to have a bullshit job. Like you gotta understand who your son is. And it's just like so much fucking shit, man, you know? But that gives me the confidence, because I'm like, nah, like can't nobody stop this, you know what I'm saying? Because it's given, it already is, so you can't stop what already is.
Well, I'm sure you also feel it's predetermined, like it exists at a point in time. It just getting there is like the difficult part about it. But speaking about your family, though, have they been a big support network for you throughout?
Yeah, dude, your sister rides for you on Twitter.
My sister doesn't give a fuck.
She put out some tweet like the day it came out that was just like something along the lines of like, yo, if you say you fuck with Radamiz and you haven't listened to Writeous yet, literally go kill yourself.
Right. Yeah. She's
Okay.
ratchet. Yo, I love her, son. That's like my favorite person in the world.
Yeah. Has she always been that way about you?
Hell yeah. She's been that way to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember dropping like the video to this song called New Mansion. And I remember it was the song and the video was all coming out the first time, and I was like so excited. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna play this shit with my little sister. And like we sit and get on the bed, I play the whole shit. She's quiet the whole time. And this is like a day before it drops, and she's like, yo, that shit was whack. And I'm just like, oh
God damn it.
Like we went through so much edits. I like worked on this song. I tried to, cause like that shit is whack. That's the thing. I'm blessed because I have people who tell me I'm whack if they feel it. You know what I'm saying?
And you need those people. Yeah. It's so essential to your development, because if you have yes people around you all the time, you can suck and you won't know it because everyone's saying, oh, this is fire, this is great.
That's the thing. Yes men exist because they start getting fed by the person who needs their true opinion. So they start feeling like, because if they don't give if they give an opinion that goes against the person who has employed them, that they're gonna lose their job if they don't try to like compliment.
It's an insecurity,
and it's like, nah, son, like nah, that's mad uncomfortable, yo. Like,
and also,
you can't even shower right after being like, you know what I'm saying?
I go, I'm so uncomfortable myself.
Yeah, like I'm not even clean.
Whose skin is this?
That's why I don't care about being rich. As far as opportunity, I know I'm gonna be balling because I want to give so much. That's literally that's like my major key. You know what I'm saying? Like I know I'm gonna be balling because I want to do so much. But I'm not gonna be rich because then I can't shower even if the shower is beautiful. I can't sleep comfortably at night even if the bed is comfortable. You know what I'm saying?
You made a song about that?
Nah, not yet. But
that sounds beautiful.
That's such a great metaphor.
That shit is real. This shit is real. I live by it. I live by it. You know, I live by that shit.
I mean, it's the keep it 100. It's the truest thing, though, and people just say it, but there's so much validity to it, and it's just a fact. You have to keep it real, because at the end of the day, you're looking yourself in the mirror, and if you like the person looking back at you, then you're never going to find any solace or clarity or peace. And clearly, you're not that man. You're not that kind of person, which is great. You would not be able to put out Writeous if you were that kind of person.
Nah, I definitely wouldn't be able to.
You can't title a project Writeous.
You can't. very, 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 very good point. But yeah, so I kind of want to go back to the project a little bit, and you can definitely weigh in on this. You have a lot of musical flavors just on this, from jazzy samples, more jazzy sounds, to more soulful, to like just classic New York beats, like more harder hitting beats. And I'm curious, when you were going into this whole process 4 years ago, did you have that eclectic mix in mind, or did you have a specific sound you're really going after, like from a production standpoint?
I think yes and no. I think in one aspect, no, because I don't think the idea of what Writeous is supposed to represent was clear in my mind. I just knew it. But I think yes, because the sounds of the songs I was making weren't like that you couldn't really put them next to each other. Like, I would make 100,000, and I'll make a new mansion, and then I will make an underdog, and then I'll make a 3 Ways to Respect. And for the people who who will hear this, those are completely like different sound, a different direction. But it was me saying, let me just experiment. Let me just see what I like. Let me see what works. Let me see what doesn't. If I fail, I failed on wax. It's this thing I remember Elliot Wilson was talking on Breakfast Club recently about Jay Electronica, and he thinks that Jay Electronica needs like the courage of creation.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I remember like, damn, that's so true. Like once you create, I think that's the most relieving part of dropping an album. I don't give a fuck what it does number wise, whatever. It's like, I believe in myself more because I get to release these things, and I think I went through a lot of that. So when it finally came to like narrowing down and creating like a specific track list with these specific sounds, I was confident that I knew I liked this. I knew I can represent myself with this. I knew I can represent myself on this, and I believed in what it represented.
It's also just the confidence to be vulnerable.
Yeah, man. Yo.
That's a great point.
Yo, that shit is real. That shit is real, man.
And that's absolutely something that a whole lot of people on Earth do not possess.
No way. I mean, that ability to be confident in your vulnerability just shows how cool you are with yourself and how at peace you are with yourself. But yeah, I kind of want to ask you though. So you produced Power, but did you have any kind of executive?
It sounds like you were involved in the production process for even more than
So did you have like executive input on other tracks as well? Kind of like putting your fingerprints on it.
Well, and like the whole crew, like they like appreciate like my ear. So it's like for a lot of things that happen in the crew, like not intentionally, but most of the time I become like a creative director. Like with Writeous, 2 weeks before it dropped, like I was on acid bumping it, and I knew
trying to get the best vision for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did it sound different?
It sound, and I called him right after, and I left him a message, and I knew like out of everybody in the crew, like I'll be the only person to end up doing acid and listening to Writeous
You're the acid guy.
and looking for that. And this was only my second time doing acid.
Nah, I'm fucking with you.
Yeah, but this is like that day when I did it, I was like, I know I'm listening to Writeous tonight, and I'm gonna tell Rad exactly what he has to do to finish it for somebody who's gonna listen to acid.
That's tight.
Writeous.
That like
That's
you
really
have
cool.
that thought, because like I may or may not.
And I have the voicemail that he left me.
You should make that like an interview or something.
I had the last session with just me and the engineer that we were just let's just tweet. I remember I tweeted like 7 songs like last minute. I was like, yo, let's just book a 4-hour session, whatever, just to go through whatever. And I tried to find a way to implement it, but I'm like, I'm gonna just keep that shit, yo. But I have it's in my email. I have the file.
That's amazing. You need to keep hang on to that.
Did you guys at any point have discussions about what you wanted the production to be? Not even necessarily just you two, but like you guys.
Like I always like Rad. I'm always like, yo, like 2014. I was like, I'm A&R'ing this and that, and I'm doing every.
That was back when we thought Writeous was coming out in 2014.
Exactly, and I'm like, yo, I'm gonna let you know, and really like I did kind of play that part because like I took it just as serious as him. Like I made like the project was mine too, so I just made sure like, yo, if this had to be tweaked a little bit, yo, let's do this. Even with Power, like Power didn't come out of me being history the rapper and the producer. That's me being history the A&R, because I'm like, Rad just came out at 300 interview, and they're like, yo, you missing this sound, and I know I could do that sound, so I'm like, yo, Rad, like, I made the beat, I spit a verse, the song could have been mine, but I'm like, yo, Rad, put this on Writeous, like, this is like hair, like the same night, same format as before I made the first half of the beat. When I made it before I went out, I made the second half. I was about to go clubbing with some girls, and I just made that beat, and I wrote the verse, and I like rough draft spit it, and I sent it to Rad, because I knew he was still in the store with the speakers, and he was going to be able to hear it how I heard it. So I'm like, yo, Rad, here's this song for you. Like, and something like, I was sitting there with it for like 20 minutes. I'm like, yo, should I keep this? Should I keep this song, or should I send it to Rad? And I'm like, yo, I don't want to, like, I want to work on my music too, and I know Writeous is dropping in like a month, so I'm like, yo, Rad, here, like, just take this, everybody's gonna go crazy over this, like, just believe in me. He believed in me. He believed in me to the point where he didn't want to write a verse to it, he just wanted my verse on it. I'm like, no, Rad, God told me have Rad verse on this, and this is gonna be something.
And that's the thing, because with me, I take everybody. I love hearing people's opinions about my music, especially like the people I'm around. But I also know I don't gotta listen to you if I don't fuck with it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But we have that under. He can convince me to death to do something, and I won't do it if I don't feel like it. But if he convinced me to death to do something, and little by little, it's in the back of my mind, like, yo, let me just. Actually, yeah, let me try that. Let me try that.
To do that the whole time.
I'm a follow that, and you know, and I think that's why Francisco is like that executive producer, because he's done that shit for 4 years. You know what I'm saying? But everyone whose name you see on there, like Rudy Carino, who produced the outro, like we would talk at 3 a.m. We've been talking. Like, I think we start our conversations at 2 a.m. about music. You know what I'm saying? And Rudy Carino is literally right. He's literally texting me 5 long, 6 long messages on a fucking iPhone about tweak this bass on this song, tweak this thing. Like, people don't even know. He's like the hidden engineer of Writeous. I don't even think he knows. Yeah. We had multiple conversations over the years just off, hey, raise this sample a little bit, tuck this bass a little bit, damn, the snares here a little too hard. Like, and I remember the last time he sent me this whole paragraph, and I was like, all right, cool. You know, but the session before that, I took every note and wrote them down. You know what I'm saying? Because it's up to me, but at the same time, it's a collaborative effort because your name is also on this. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. Sure.
So as true as you want me to hear your opinion, you also have to trust that I have your best interest in mind as well. You know?
Of course, and I think it works both ways in that regard.
I'm gonna tell you something interesting about outro. The outro didn't exist.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get to this.
The outro didn't exist until the first 10 songs existed, and he made the outro to mirror the roller coaster that the project meant to him
a little bit. Yeah, trilogy.
So to him, on the production level, the Writeous outro represents how Writeous flows through the whole project.
So do you think that's more for him than for you?
Both, because I had to say something. I remember calling him and I was like still smoking cigarettes, and I was like chain smoking cigarettes outside of my projects. Like, yo, what the fuck am I supposed to say on this? Like, I was really stressing because I got to a point now. Before I used to be too planned, and now I would just book a session in advance, even if I know I wanted to accomplish something, and I had some money for a session, so I would just book the session and make sure I just figured out what the fuck I wanted to do by the time I got there. And I remember that was probably one of the toughest verses I had to write because the song meant so much to me.
How did you finally end up penning the lyrics?
It just happened. It ain't sound whack.
Yeah, like obviously you were kind of bugging out a little bit going into it because you didn't know what to do. But was there like a one epiphany you had or one catalyst that kind of caused you to put the words together to express the message that you wanted to put out there?
I think I complimented how great the production was. Intention wise, I complimented that. So cool. I complimented.
It's my favorite song on the project.
Yeah, no,
it gets mad love too.
It shouldn't get slept on. I remember Team Backpack specifically said, "Don't sleep." Yeah, that's why I made it that shit. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny
like, don't sleep on that shit, yo.
Because Rudy was my roommate in college.
Oh yeah.
So it's like it's just funny, like the whole 360. It's like if I decide not to go to college, like Rad would have never knew Rudy Carino.
So you introduced them?
Yeah.
Like, cool. I don't know if I introduced. Did I?
Yeah, basically, nigga. I didn't know him.
Yeah, like
I met him somehow.
Right, exactly. Like But it's like, wow, if I really didn't choose to go to college, like Rad would.
I wouldn't have the outro.
Rudy Kareem, he would never had
Yeah,
the
that's
outro.
crazy to think about.
I
love thinking about that kind of stuff,
yeah.
like little things that you never expect to
I
have.
hate thinking about that kind of
No,
stuff.
I love it. No, because it's cool because
I hate thinking
well, no, these little things that it's like the butterfly effect in present time though, because these little things that have these massive effect down the line, but in the time being, it seems kind of just small and insignificant. But then, like you said, you would not have this great outro to be the exclamation point on your project had it not been for the relationship that he introduced you to.
And the thing is, Rudy's been trying to produce on the record for years, the entire process. So that's why I feel like he got to a point where he's like, "Fuck, the project is done. How the fuck am I gonna do something?" And the first, like the righteous can't be forsaken. I've never seen a man forsaken of the righteous. Like we've had that in our minds since the beginning of Righteous. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like that first part, like the first minute and a half, like we've had that looped in our head, and it's just
I love hearing about this.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I never got to go to Long Island. He never got to come to New York. Our schedules will always conflict. We would book a session, never get it done, blah, 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 for years.
Like not even an hour.
And then to a point where now he moved to fucking West Hollywood or whatever the case may be. So we really not in the same session. And then he was one of the first people to really have Righteous in the most finished stage possible to be able to listen through, and he said I wouldn't have been able to make the outro if you didn't make Righteous. So that's why the Righteous outro is so ill, because it wouldn't exist if
that's
the
sick. So the first 10 tracks informed the last track.
Made the last track happen.
Oh, that's
so organic.
That's it's organic.
That's literally
it's
like
not forced, it's the opposite of forced.
But like as a producer, that's literally what inspires people to make beats sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like you hear this person's album, or you hear this person's progress, or anything. You hear somebody's song and then maybe write this verse. It's like it existed in one track list. You know what I'm saying? But that's organic inspiration.
Speaking of the artistry, though, I want to talk about the cover art, because the cover art is cool as shit
and deep.
It is so much meaning behind it, and for those who don't know, it's a
laughing as well.
That's why. So, if those who don't know, it's a baby holding a gun, like instead of a bottle, essentially.
Right.
And
you put an image right here.
Yeah, right here. But yeah, I mean, so from my understanding, it's like essentially your nutrition is so deeply rooted, and if it's bad for you, then you have those bad things instilled in you from such a young age, and that can kind of become a part of you, and for worse, obviously. And at such a young age, you don't know what's necessarily bad for you because it's put in front of you, and you're just digesting it. And I feel like part of Righteous is knowing yourself to your true core, and that can almost be like better or worse in a certain regard.
I think you're the best person to tell me what the definition is like I've ever heard so far. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, that's exactly like the most important part.
Nice.
It's serious.
I've been working on that.
You have to understand to me, the most important part of the cover is the piece of the arm sitting next to the baby, because what that represents is a lot of the times you don't realize, like the person doesn't realize that they're a poison teacher, teaching someone something that's wrong. You know what I'm saying? So
wait, this right here?
Yeah, you have people. Yeah, that's the sleeve of a. You know what I'm saying? You have people
in the bottom left corner.
Yeah, you have people who
bottom left, guys,
are 30, 40 years old telling a 2-year-old how to act.
Yeah, using their own shape views.
But for 40 years, they haven't been right to themselves. So they have 40 years of experience of not being themselves, implementing that into a 2-year-old, into a 3-year-old. We're taught how to walk. We're taught what sounds to put together that represent a language to how to express ourselves. So it's like, if I'm really questing to like be myself, you know, it's like, yo, fuck everybody. Fuck my parents. Fuck my best friend since birth. Fuck the projects I'm from. Fuck all that shit. Who am I first? And in correlation, what does everything else mean to me? And I think that's the hardest part, I think, of humanity. You know what I'm saying? Like, but Righteous also has a gold strip at the top. You know what I'm saying? It also has that gold strip at the top. That it's like there's still that like royalty. I like that shit makes it look like antique, like something that was worth a lot. You know what I mean? Like that's like literally.
It's almost like you're ascending to that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And I had a talk with the artist. I've been interested in. His name is R.I.P. Josama.
Yeah.
And he's just crazy.
I was going through some of the stuff.
And he's Dominican too. That's just crazy. He's Dominican too. He's a whole interview. You know what I'm saying? Like that. He's bugged the fuck out.
So what was Kiona Simone's part?
She designed everything. So Josama Palabra, he little R.I.P. Josama. The Righteous artwork is a small piece of a full painting. that we took.
Gotcha.
And then Kiona Simone is the person who designed the Righteous, how everything is laid out as far as the album.
But so the baby with the gun, that was all done by
R.I.P. Joe Sama. That's a painting.
So how did you?
Buy.
I guess you had to get him on board to kind of co-opt his work.
Yeah.
So did you guys have a previous relationship?
We've known each other since 2013 through the internet, and met for the first time when I paid him to use his work. Wow. And I just went to his crib. He'd already heard the music, and we just vibe. I mean, we had so much in common. He's like a couple years. He's like some years older than me, but his relationship with New York is the same. His relationship with the Dominican Republic is the same. His relationships with creation and taking risk, and Dad was into spirituality, like all that shit. We like. It was like it's this different takes, but the same kinds of experiences. You know what I'm saying? The same relationships. And I mean, he has to be.
Yeah.
He's the cover.
I think
legendary.
Spirits is like,
this is legendary. Like, you gotta understand, this shit's gonna exist. The more I succeed, the more importance Righteous has.
Oh, 100%.
So fuck 10 days of it being out, 11 days of it being out. It's like, no, that's me at 23. You know what I'm saying? So, could you imagine Obama dropped a mixtape at 23 that you heard? Nah, I'm serious.
Here with Michelle about to put it in.
Word the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Because the more I do in my life, and the more I follow the feeling that made me even create Righteous, the more Righteous. Because it's a specific creation. It's not a tweet. It's not a conversation. It's not a picture. It's like, no, this is what the fuck I made. You know what I'm saying?
Prophecy too, to a certain extent.
It's a good quote, right?
That's great.
Maybe Obama does have a mixtape.
You don't know that.
He smoked weed like a motherfucker and was chilling in Hawaii, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't tell me Obama can't freestyle, you know.
Oh, yeah,
but
the
word
balls,
the fuck up, you know. So
how was it meeting him for the first time though?
It was dope.
It was about Obama.
Yeah.
How was it the first time?
I'll tell you next
to the White House.
The next interview, I'll tell you how it was meeting Obama.
Obama's
downstairs.
He's here.
So
want to pause this real quick?
Can I go get him?
Yeah, I have to do it. Yeah. 1 sec. Alright, we're back. We're just joined with another guest. There's so many guests on today. I love it.
Club member.
King Critical of the Mogul Club. What's up, man? How you doing? Just chilling that champagne, enjoying it.
Appreciate you coming by.
Yeah, nah, he's lit because you got him liquor for free. So like,
yeah, I'm good no matter what.
Like, don't tell him how much is actually in that fridge. 'Cause we might be here for a minute.
It'll all be gone. All right, man. So you dropped some pretty sweet bars on Maintaining.
Yeah.
You guys have worked together well.
You missed it. They were just rapping it before. We got
well, I wasn't here for this. You guys did this without me. That's cool. We'll do it later. But yeah, you guys had Mogul Club together. So what was it like working on that song together for you?
Oh man, I've been knew I was supposed to work on Maintaining. Like, I've been knew I was supposed to do it, but for some reason, for me to write the verse, it didn't hit. Like, I think I forgot about it. And then we wound up having a show at SOB's.
Mm-hmm.
Don't remember what the show was, but Rad actually sat me down after the show and said, "Yo, we're going into the studio to record it." I'm not sure what day exactly was, but I know that the SOB show was 2 days before that.
Mm-hmm.
So, mind you, I didn't write the Maintaining verse at all.
Yeah.
At all. So, what happened was, in 2 days, I managed to have that verse. But that whole verse wasn't written in 2 days. So first, a few couple of bars that I always had for another record. And then I'm like, well, what just so happened I wasn't going to do that record, period. So I added like a few more. Took those bars from that record. But it was only a few, and then I just, chopped it up and measured it up and added more. So that's how that came about. So basically the verse was done in like 2 days. But I was kind of like, when he told me, I was like, whoa, that's too fast. He was like, no, this has to happen now.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? This has to happen now.
That's the thing. My money's limited. So like, when I book that session, that means
this needs to happen right now.
Yeah, like I need to progress. Like,
what was that like performing under that pressure?
My best records come out under pressure.
Yeah. Just because you feel like you that time crunch kind of helps get out your best work.
I don't know. I just know, just off experience mainly, that my best records come out when I'm under pressure for whatever reason.
I'm sure your mind that kind of filters out the bullshit, and you kind of realize, like, subconsciously you need to get this done, so you're going to put your best foot forward, essentially, in order to get that done.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
It's also your inhibitions are reduced. I feel like a lot of times something that'll cloud the artistic process is just your own inhibitions. Just be like, oh, nah, I don't like this bar. I don't know if I like this. It's just like you just go.
See, and
It's
you know
just
what's funny?
natural.
That's part of the righteous process that I learned. Like what he did with maintaining, I did with some of my favorite verses on the whole project. The righteous outro verse, the second verse on God Talks to Me a Lot, the fourth verse on Power, the second verse on like the album version of New York Don't Love Me. All of those were like sessions that I just booked in advance and I didn't know what the fuck to do until a day or two before, and then it's like, all right, like.
Will you ever like try to
Figure that shit out,
artificially
you know?
kind of inspire pressure crunch situations to?
Yeah, that's exactly what the fuck I was doing. I didn't know what the hell I was gonna do, but I booked the session and I knew I was gonna waste my
fair.
money. I knew I wasn't gonna show up unprepared. You know what I'm saying? So I made sure I like showed my best. You know.
That's sick.
And and it's crazy because that's how maintaining came out for him as well. You know.
That's awesome. I mean, that kind of it's great. You guys
By
worked
accident,
together.
but what's accident?
Oh yeah, I mean it's like it's a happy accident. It's like kind of meant to be accident. That's cool. You know, you guys obviously have worked together a lot before, so I'm sure you guys have a good chemistry between each other, which helps develop the overall track. I'm sure that was like, obviously exemplified on the track itself, which clearly it was. But did you have any role with the elsewhere in the process as well, like with the overall creation of Righteous, or was it just on King Critical? Just on Maintaining.
First off, real quick, before he answers, anybody who sits with me to talk about Righteous had an input some way.
Outside their specific.
Beyond just what they were just credited
Yo,
for.
that has
Okay.
that's just the most physical realization of what it is. You know?
Especially because it took so long. Like,
Yo, he grew 4 years through Righteous. He grew 4 years through Righteous.
Yo, that's
people
that's,
are gonna
that's
sit
that's
there.
crazy.
You have to
That's
understand
really crazy.
that,
I didn't think about that. You guys all
man.
grew together throughout this process.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've known each
that
other
was-
way before Righteous was an idea. You know what I'm saying? So
That's really crazy.
and I mean, like, you're obviously grown, but it's still in such, like, pivotal points in your life where you're just still changing so much.
man.
Figuring so much shit out. I mean, was that kind of like, did that cause any creative riffs or anything like that? Because you guys are all maturing in your own right, but together simultaneously. So, like,
I feel like I knew Rad before Righteous. I think I might have knew Rad before, right? Like before, before Righteous, of course, but before the idea of Righteous came along, he was just recording. I knew him way before that, but I didn't know Radamiz until the duration process of Righteous, where I was being created. It was just, that's why I take this project so serious, because I stopped speaking to Radamiz twice over this, just over disagreements of the record. It was his record ultimately, but just what led into it. And it's just like, yo, if I never knew who Rad was, I know who Radamiz is now. Like, this is really, that's why this album is so serious for me, because I grew with it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Radamiz, this is Radamiz's project, but I grew with this. This is something that I've grown with. This is something that is just a part of my life, as my girl is a part of my life.
Sure.
You understand? Because I grew with it. I learned something new as it was progressing. So this is very serious.
You discover things about yourself throughout the process that I'm sure you wouldn't be able to discover without this actual process.
Exactly. So this is very serious.
It's a crazy 4-year journey, man. Like, these 4 years in, like, this current time
that shit
frame.
is not light.
Yeah.
4 years?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Do you guys
unreal.
feel like a brotherhood bond? Just all the people that worked on this project? Is there
Oh,
like
for sure. But we
you
had
feel
that before
bond?
too. But it just gets.
But
But
It's
now
just
that
strengthened.
it's out,
It
it
gets
has to like
strengthened. Nah.
cement something.
Yo, we cemented ourselves, man. Like, as long as everyone is putting their best foot forward, it's just wine. It is what it is. I don't care what people think. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Radamiz puts his best foot forward, if history puts his best foot forward, if you guys put your best foot forward, this can be something in the future that, like, oh shit, like,
Sure.
damn, they talked at that time, like they knew it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Because
definitely.
because
Think about that shit all the time,
we're
man.
wild by that.
Yeah.
We're wild by interviews that happened 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Just talking about Prince. Like,
Yeah,
15, 20 years
unreleased interviews of this person after their album dropped. It's the exact same shit. You know what I'm saying? It's the exact same shit, and that's why every name you see on that shit is not a coincidence. There's nobody who, like, everybody has a story as to how they made it on that.
I was going to
project.
ask you about that because you have features obviously outside the Mogul Club, and all those people all you've been fucking with for a while artistically, or how did they all come about?
I mean,
deserve a spot in this
off
project?
rip, the Goonie Tunes who produced God Talks to Me a Lot and Patience. The only reason I know about No Mystery Studios is because of my man Jay, who produces under that name. Literally, and that's where every song that I've recorded ever for the last 4 years, except for Ali's My Big Brother, was made. because of him. He introduced me to the space
So-
because I performed at a Dime a
And that's
Dozen
what Righteous
showcase
was born.
in 2011, and like he was one of the judges. So he fucked with me, and then we just kept in contact while I was working at rugby. And he invited me out to a session in the middle of the fucking rain for an hour while I was sleeping on Ruben's dorm floors, literally. And I was like sleep on the couch in the lobby sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Because the couch is more comfortable than the fucking carpet. And I remember like he invited me one time to just record for an hour or whatever. We knocked out a song, and then a year later, when I got an epiphany to take my music serious, he was the only studio. That was the only studio I had in mind that would represent me using music as something that is actually going to be my life, you know.
Happy coincidence.
And he's the first song on the. He produced the first song on the project, you know.
And that's
And he
just
introduced me to
honor.
the studio where I made all my shit at. You know what I'm saying? Like
That's
it's
amazing.
crazy.
He literally allowed to lay the
No,
foundation. for it.
everything is important on that shit, yo.
Yeah, I love it. It's like also like methodically thought out because
By mistake, but by life at the same time.
Yeah,
You know
it's-
what I'm saying?
Sure, but
Mistake as in you don't anticipate.
You roll with the
I don't
punches.
anticipate that this is gonna be the
Oh no,
guy.
you weren't like
who-
at 19.
You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, yeah, don't get it twisted. I'm a human being, but I heard that beat driving through Manhattan, like uptown, like he was dropping off his friend a month before, like I performed that Summer Jam in 2013. We heard the beat all together at the same time, riding around, and we were at a traffic light, and as soon as that beat played, everybody, like me, him, and his friend, we all stopped and bopped our head, and some kid who was outside, you have to see it, some dude who was just walking, he just stopped. As soon as the beat dropped, he stopped, looked at us, and we all just bopped our head to the beat. And I was like, all right, that's
like a
the
movie.
first song on my fucking project, you know what I'm saying?
That's amazing. You ever see Pineapple Express?
And of course I
You
did.
know, like when he's playing Electric Avenue and the guy rolls up next to him, he's also playing Electric Avenue.
Exactly.
That's
Take
Take
exactly.
that shit to another level.
Yes,
man.
I know, right?
I'm trying to tell you, yo. And
That's
yo,
exactly what I'm picturing right now.
So much of that shit came into it. That's why I know, like, even when I'm depressed, I believe in myself so much that I talk myself out of depression. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, I believe in myself so
powerful.
much that when I don't believe in myself, I make myself believe in myself. You know what I'm saying? Because I know what the fuck it is, you know?
That crazy wave and trough process of like being depressed, but then just having the realization that you're
Tight.
tight,
Right.
that you're confident enough in
Right.
yourself though to talk
Tight.
yourself out of depression.
Yeah, man.
Like that to me is what the album is.
Word.
It's just
Hell
like
yeah,
those
bro.
waves and troughs.
Because
That's
I
exactly
told
what it is.
people that's like it's the emotion. I like deem it as like an emotional roller coaster of what it feels like to achieve what you know is yours. You know to achieve what it is that you know you were born to do. And you just gotta go through a lot of the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You gotta go through all the bullshit. You gotta learn the lessons. You gotta have the highs. You gotta have the lows. But all of it is just building you up to be who you're supposed to be able to get it. You know.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So you have this crazy roller coaster, this wild 4-year-long journey.
By the way, the
of
champagne is
process.
lit.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Isn't it Sandra?
I'm curious to know though, what kind of music do you make from here on out? 'Cause you just had this wild 4-year experience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
now,
I'm
now
definitely-
where does the artist known as Radamiz
That's
go?
gotta be crazy to think about.
Yeah, I'm definitely not even thinking about it.
You shouldn't know. It's almost
I'm
unhealthy, I
working
think.
on some shit now with On God. You know the producer. He does a lot of like
I'm not familiar.
Mick Jenkins shit.
What's the
Oh,
name?
okay.
On God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never seen that name before.
Yeah, I'm working on some shit with him for the summer. But like, yo, I don't care. I don't care about having a direction. I don't care about having to produce a certain type of record. I knew I was proven that if I put my mind to something, no matter what, you have to understand, my most asked question was, when is Righteous dropping? You know what that feels like for 4 years? Like,
I do not.
like, yo, 4 years, you know what I'm saying? Like, everyone, like, yo,
That
what
has
the
to be
fuck?
mad annoying.
But I knew, you know what I'm saying? I knew I couldn't have dropped it at a more perfect time. You know what I'm saying? For everybody who knows to know, and everybody who's gonna know to start knowing, and everybody who doesn't know to then have a basis to fully embrace what is happening. You know, it's like it didn't happen at a more perfect time.
crazy
So all
journey.
that does is just, it's the same thing, like the courage of creation. It's just like, you know what? As long as I put belief into everything I do, the same way how I trusted that I was growing and I was gonna give myself the time to grow to be able to produce the best quality work I could, at least at the moment, then I'm gonna apply that to life. You know.
How do you think your time at NYU kind of shaped your writing process for this album?
Perfect. I'll tell you a perfect example. Sway in the Morning. When I rapped at Sway in the Morning, I remember I was up till 4 in the morning, and I was supposed to be up at Sway at 6 in the morning. What happened between 4 and 6 is a whole other interview.
Next week, y'all, don't worry.
Very serious. That's a whole other interview. But what it at least taught me is I hadn't had sleep for 3-4 days, like good, comfortable sleep for 3-4 days.
Wasn't sleeping at
But
all.
I had a goal at 6 in the morning, and I had to be the best version of myself, and I did that. And that's what NYU taught me, because for 4 years I had to procrastinate on exams and do all this shit and fuck around and not pay attention to my work, and then eventually I had that deadline of a paper, I had that deadline of a midterm, I had that deadline of a final, and I had to make sure I did my fucking best no matter how tired I was, no matter what was going on in my life. I had to make sure I showed up to that deadline and did my best. So I had a full I call it, it's a 180, I don't know if people say 360, I guess it's a 360, whatever, where everything that I was doing to accomplish what I didn't necessarily love taught me how to accomplish what I loved with everything I had, you know.
Yeah.
So it's the process of sleeping when you're not comfortable. It's the process of focusing on things that you don't want to focus on, but you know you have to focus on, like testing your physical endurance, your mental endurance, like your stamina, all of that shit. Time management, your discipline, your relationships, like all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? If I could do that for something that I'm not totally involved in with my heart, it's like 100 times easier when it's about hip hop. You know?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
To me, that's what I think college is really a test
Yeah,
of.
man.
Like,
Development
if you
period.
really want to, you could go online and teach yourself biology. You don't need a textbook to teach you
I can
about
give someone my
biology.
course list and you just fucking buy all
Yeah.
the books and read everything
read
we're
it,
reading.
yeah.
You don't actually need to pay
It's not even-
$50,000 a
it's
year
not
to
about
learn about
that.
like economics. You can do that. It's about like learning all the things you just said. Time management's a big one.
yeah, man. It's a
Like
personal
pushing yourself
journey.
to do things that you don't.
I mean,
wanna
the
do,
Sumner video was
relationships,
directed
people.
by a
I actually want to
person.
talk about that.
The Sumner video was directed by a dude who, my man Slack Barrel, who I met my freshman year at NYU. And the only reason I got the New York Don't Love Me beat, who was produced by Electrical Requiem, is because while we were on set for Drunk Poetry, which dropped in 2013, Electrical Requiem, that was a feature song that I was going to do for his tape. He slept on it for a year, and I decided to just make a song out of it, and that became New York Don't Love Me. You know what I'm saying? But I met that kid freshman year, rapping in the middle of like the freshman like lobby or whatever, and a kid who didn't even live in the dorm just overheard me and was like, "Yo, you should come to our jam session."
It's just amazing how like that moment sparked this entire like revolution.
Come on,
essentially.
son.
But like, all right, so with Sumner real quick with that video, it was awesome. USA Today featured it. I'm just curious from a cinematography standpoint.
You got it.
Yeah, all right, sweet, all right.
I believe in you.
From that standpoint, because you have like their shots were just rising above the city. How was that physically shot? Was that with a drone or something? Like, I'm curious about that because you literally it's like rising above the entire skyline, just like looking at it.
Where we had
Guys,
to
if
make
you're
the
watching Vlad
we had
TV,
yeah right we had to make the hood look beautiful. And for me, when I spoke to Slack and when I spoke to my boy Fifth God, who just had parts in like the Beyonce's Lemonade video, by the way, like literally like Sumner to Lemonade, it's crazy. But
It's a good omen for you.
Right. No, it's going for him. Like,
South by Southwest to Lemonade.
Word. It was lit. But I knew that poverty is always presented as something negative.
Mm-hmm.
It's always presented as something that you don't want to be in. It's always presented as somebody, and in all those aspects is true. But at the same time, it makes you who you are. And you can't not be appreciative of the process that it takes you to really be your true self. So we was like, all right, they want to shit on us. They want to buy all of our buildings. They want to buy up our blocks. They want to change. They want to break up families. They want to break up culture. Let's make this shit look like something that is ill as fuck to shoot a beautiful music video in. And we just strive for that, you know what I'm saying? And I brought my man Fifth God, who's like the illest motherfucker. And I brought my man Slack from NYU, who's the illest motherfucker. And we came in and I remember I visited my public school at that time. In my public school, I have a plaque in my public school that I was the last kid to receive it. My principal at the time passed away of cancer, and I was the last kid to receive an award, which is my most cherished award, that represents him after his passing as far as like a kid. But that was like me in 5th grade, and they were honoring me for like, you know, caring about others and like it was just like shit that I didn't even like. How the fuck did you see that in me, you know? But I held that dear to me, you know. And while we were scouting for some of the shots, I revisited my old public school, and it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Such a full circle.
Yo,
moment.
nah,
And that was in Bushwick, right?
Yeah, it was in Bed-Stuy.
Bed-Stuy.
Yeah, hell yeah. Some
Wow,
project.
I mean that's like it's so. It's also the full circle aspect of you caring for other people, getting that award for that, because Righteous really speaks to that. Like we said, One Crown.
Right.
You're caring about for your peers, for your fellow musicians who you came up with, who you want to show love to and show shine
Everybody, every producer that you see, every credit
Yeah.
that you see means something.
to. Yeah, and that's the true beauty behind it. It's just how such a collaborative effort, and clearly with two boys on either side of you right now.
Word.
These two boys were here for you throughout the entire process. Just staying true. It just, you know, A, it just shows a testament to friendship and just a brotherhood, and B, just shows a testament to their dedication to you as an individual and as an artist.
And same to them. I tell them, like, yo, I hustle 20 times harder because your name is on it. Because I got to represent you
I wanna
while
put
I'm
on for
hustling
you. I wanna put on
myself.
for you,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So I
gotta do right by
gotta
you.
go harder.
Yeah.
You know, because if not, I'm misrepresenting his work. I'm misrepresenting his work. I'm misrepresenting their time, their effort. You know what I'm saying? And they gifting me with their creativity, gifting me with their ideas, gifting me with the best versions of themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to appreciate that, you know?
Do you see yourself wanting to put out or do a label at some point in the future? Because you sound like you care enough about people.
Yeah, I definitely care about people, and I definitely care about music, but I'm not thinking about that really.
Yeah.
But maybe.
But like
down the line.
putting like aside your own musical endeavors for
Right.
the moment, is that something you could see yourself doing? Maybe.
Possibly, you know, but everything is possible.
Sure.
And the reason I say that is because when you care about people, everything is fucking possible. I want to start my own magazine. Like I said, I want to interview. I want to get to a point where I'm a great person that you want to interview you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's interesting. Everybody's like the shit to me. You know what I'm saying? If you give people a chance, like, everyone is interesting.
That's what I'm
Everyone
saying.
has a story.
Yeah,
everyone has a
good book in
perspective.
them.
Everyone has a talent. Everyone has a great selling novel in them. You know, so whether it be a label, whether it be a journal, whether it be a fucking book that I publish, a magazine that I produce, a website, whatever the fuck it may be, you know, I'm not gonna limit it. But we'll see what
That's
happens.
great, man. Well, you have like a lot of great stuff coming ahead of you. You know, this project dropped not even 2 weeks ago. It's already receiving great buzz. It's gonna get a lot more great buzz coming forward. You know, we're excited to see what else happens for you in the future, and we really appreciate you guys coming out. All
Yeah,
of you.
man, this was great.
This is great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
finish 3 bottles of Andre. Can't not be great.
Word, exactly. This shit is lit. Did you have any other questions though?
No. Did you have any other questions for us?
Nah, I don't have any other questions.
Good shit.
I'm interested in what you're gonna use, but other than that,
All of it.
All of it, yeah. We're like, yeah, just like reuse all of it, including this right now. But yeah, no, this is great. Really appreciate you guys coming out for this.
bless y'all.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Thank you.